My mom, Colleen, is a very strong and independent woman. And growing up with a deaf mother, to me, wasn't weird. It wasn't anything different. It was, you know, it's like everybody else. You know, you grow up with the parents that you have. She, you know, she works, she drives, she does everything that a normal person does. She's never let her disability hold her back from enjoying life. She enjoys life to the full. So me and my wife, we had a beautiful baby girl. She came into our lives, and she was perfect. Any newborn in the hospital gets their hearing tested. It's pretty standard. And Eden was tested and failed 3 times on 2 separate kinds of tests. So we were worried. And so when we were faced with the prospect of Eden being deaf, while scary and while, you know, something that we wouldn't wish upon Eden and wish upon ourselves, it was something that if God had created her that way, we would have done our absolute best to raise her the best that we could. But the really hard part about hearing that she could potentially be deaf was just that when I pictured having kids when I was, you know, growing up, and as I became older, I always pictured myself playing music with my kids and singing with my kids and enjoying the presence of God with my kids through music. I always pictured that almost as a given. I felt like some of my dreams were being stripped away in that moment. I want nothing more than to be able to enjoy the presence of God with my kids. That's what I want. So 3 weeks later, we go in for the second round of testing, feeling a little more confident, just that 3 weeks had gone by. You know, if there was something in her ears, it would be gone by now. And I'll never forget the feeling, the devastation when she failed all of them again. So 1 week later, Eden's back getting more hearing tests done. And I was in staff meeting, and I'll never forget, again, she messaged me and said that she had failed her left ear. In that moment, I knew that we had to pray. That I believed that God could do something miraculous in that moment. And so as a staff, we prayed. The staff gathered around me and laid hands on me, and we prayed for God to heal Eden, to break through in that moment, and to bring wisdom and understanding about the whole situation. As I sat back down, feeling so discouraged and feeling kind of hopeless, I received a text message that said she passed her right ear. So when they had tested the other ear, she passed it. And in that moment, I knew that God was doing something. I knew that God was moving, and He was restoring my daughter in that moment. And so I urged Nikki, I said, you gotta test the left ear. I know she failed. I know what the tests say. I know what they say. I really believe that God has done something, and you need to test again. And it was pretty quiet around the table, and I just was fixed to the screen, just waiting for a response. And then I got this big, in all caps, pass. And I just wanted to be sure before I celebrated. So I said, pass on the left ear? Like, did we get a pass on the left ear? And Nikki responded and said, she has perfect hearing. And in that moment, I'll never forget. And I just began to weep, not just out of relief. I mean, of course there was relief, but out of the goodness of our God. He did something miraculous. He stepped into that situation and He healed her. I believe that. I believe that with all my heart. And you know, a lot of people might say that, oh, it's just a coincidence. Or, she could probably hear the whole time. It was just her ears were full of something. And, there's a million things that you could say, but at the end of the day, you have to make a choice about the way that you see the world. You can either decide that God is in control and He is sovereign, and He's working all things together, or you can look at everything as a big coincidence. And not only do I sleep better at night because I know my God is in control, but it gives me a hope. Because in those moments when you're facing something that is dark and awful, if everything's a coincidence, then you have no hope. There's nothing that you can turn to in the midst of despair. But when you put your trust and put your hope in God, you have this incredible Father who loves you and wants nothing but good things for you. And you know He has the power to change even the most believable situations.